Hello everyone, welcome back to Back and Connect the Dots channel. And in this specific video, I would like to talk about what is the main use of traits and types in the RAML. So, this traits and types are two keywords used in the RAML to specify to avoid basically a duplication of your code. If you have any common code repeats for multiple endpoints or multiple resources, so these traits and types are very helpful. So for example, traits let me explain you about the traits, like in how it is used. Traits is nothing but you can be using for multiple endpoints, like in common behavior for multiple endpoints. Like, and if you are creating a REST API, you have four endpoints, and they have like a common behavior for each endpoint. Like, and the 400 bar request is common for everything, and 401 unauthorization, if they did not pass any authorization code or anything in your request there where they are trying to call your API, the 401 is common uh, response you might be throwing to them. And this, if you want to create it 401 response for each endpoint, it's going to be like in code duplication. If you want to change anything on that 401 um, status code, the response body, if you want to add some other details like some change needs to be happen, it will be uh, you have to modify for each and every endpoint for all the four environments. So it's not a good practice. So it's better to keep it in a one area and use it for multiple resources. That's the main use of this traits. So it's very helpful in the RAML design, and so the you can say it as like an applies the same behavior for multiple endpoints, then you have to use the traits. And the traits can be used called into your endpoint by using a keyword called is. I'll show you like in how to use it in the RAML in the design center. I'll show you like in how it is called. Coming to the type is nothing but like an data structure. Basically, some of the data structures, like, and if you are expecting the same um response for two endpoints, like, and if you are trying to post the um, we have a post method called post user to the post user user data. The user data is the endpoint, and the post method you have it in your RAML. So they have like in same uh, format, like in data structure, like in they might be having like a username, not password, the first name, last name, email ID, email ID, and date of birth. This is the data structure. It is going to be common for the two or three endpoints. So it's better to use it in keep it in a types, and you can use that type in your endpoint, like in you while creating in the RAML itself, like in you will be mentioning, right, like in the what is the type of your request is going to get it into your uh, you are going to accept to your endpoint. So this by using the type, you use that, you say that this is the request, sample request I'm going to expect. So if multiple of them using the same uh, type, so it's better to keep it in one place and call it into your endpoint. That's a very good practice. So I will show you like in how it is used, the traits and types in the design center RAML. So I have already created a one design center application. It's called test mule application. I'll show you like in how the traits and types are created. So as I mentioned, first let's talk about the traits and how it is used. So if you see this application, have like in a multiple endpoints and multiple methods for each endpoint. So if you see this hello world has two endpoints, the two methods, one is get methods and the post method. And coming to the Salesforce uh, contacts, it has a get and post method. So for example, the 400 bad request is going to be common for every endpoint, right? So I don't want to create again saying like in the responses saying that 400 body status code 400 body and application JSON and example, and say I'll say it as a bad request, a bad response, and I can include like in whatever the structure or whatever the sample. And if you want to include the same thing again to the post method also, again it's a duplication. And if I want to include it for this one also, this is actually not a good practice, right? Like in a, when we want to use this for multiple places, so it's actually a code duplication. If something is changed on the response body, you have to make changes for all of them. So it's not a good practice. So what RAML has is called, let me delete this first. And what I try to do is like, and I will be creating a trait. Here you can see like I have created a common traits in the schemas folder and created the error responses. If you see this RAML 1.0 space trail, here you can see like in what are the responses code might be expecting for every endpoint. These are the common responses coming from every endpoint. So here you can see the bad request, bad input, 401, 403, and 500. These are the common things, right? So every endpoint might be getting this error. So what I've used is like I've created one trait. It's called error responses and imported that trait to over here and assigned it for this error response. Wherever you want to implement that trait, you have to just mention error response. That's all. It will be automatically. You can see that the 400, 401, 403, and 500, all of them can be seen in your this endpoint. If anything changes on one of the implementation, if I want to change one bad data, please check it. This is going to implement wherever the is this trait is imported. So you can go to there and say, please check it. So if I don't have implemented the same error responses for post also, the post can also see. If you see that for bulk, I haven't implemented the bulk process post, you don't see that anything. So for example, if I use it, so bulk response is also now getting the traits over here. So this is very useful. Traits are very useful. You can say it like to conclude it, you can say it that this is if you want to implement like any common behavior for each endpoint, then this traits is going to helpful. We can place it in one place and you can import it in one place. And you can also include multiple traits also. If you create another uh, trait, like in saying like in uh, for now I'll say a response and include, and you can use multiple traits also by using R and responses, so that multiple traits can be imported to one endpoint. Okay. Coming to the types are nothing but if you are expecting, if anyone one of the, for example here if you see that every post request having a request body, and it might be having like in a you want to include like a uh, sample schema for your application, like, and if every endpoint you want to have like in some common behavior, like in type of body type of colors, you can put it in the types and you can directly call it the types over here. If the same thing, if the same type is, you think it's going to be used for the um, other endpoint also, you can directly call it over here. Sorry, I think it should be after the derivation of your of input request type. Then after that you can include that what is the request. So you can see the body is schema is imported for this post bulk also. So this is how types are used, traits and types. Thank you.